The movie begins on May 13, 2022, with Miles, a powerful corporate magnate, sending intricate puzzle boxes to 5 of his friends. After solving the puzzles, they discover an invitation from Miles, asking them to join him in Greece for a game called Murder Mystery. An experienced and astute detective also receives one of these puzzle boxes along with the invitation. Although initially reluctant, he decides to attend. In the next scene, all the friends gather in Greece. Among them is a fashion designer who brings her assistant, a YouTuber with a companion, and an old employee named Andy, whose presence shocks everyone since Miles had fired her years ago after a dispute. Miles sends a luxurious yacht to bring them to his stunning private island, Glass Onion. Upon arrival, they are captivated by the beauty of the place, as Miles welcomes them and gives them a tour. They then head to their rooms to rest. Later, Miles privately confronts the detective, puzzled about his presence since he never sent him an invitation. The detective shows him the card, suggesting that perhaps one of the friends tampered with the puzzle box and sent it as a prank. Miles, intrigued, decides it's a great idea to have a famous detective join his murder mystery game. They then head to the pool for some relaxation. While they're lounging, Miles' YouTuber friend shares an alarming story. He recalls seeing Miles driving recklessly fast last week, nearly causing an accident with him. Later, as they take a break from the sun, the detective seizes the moment to ask Miles how he and his friends achieved their success. Miles explains that their accomplishments stem from starting small and gradually building up over time. Andy, the former employee, overhears and interjects, saying that their success is solely due to Miles's underhanded help. She leaves abruptly after making this claim. Soon after, the fashion designer confronts Miles. She is upset because he had asked her friend to lie for him, but she doesn't want her friend to do anything dishonest, especially since the media is already targeting them. Miles dismisses her concerns, insisting that her friend must comply. The detective overhears this heated exchange from a distance. Meanwhile, the YouTuber is exploring the island when he stumbles upon a troubling scene. He sees his fiancée in a suspiciously intimate moment with Miles. Realizing that she is betraying him, he becomes despondent, but chooses to keep silent. The detective observes everything quietly. That night, Miles hosts a lavish party and proudly unveils the real painting of the Mona Lisa, claiming to have acquired it from a museum. He then hands the detective a small crystal-like piece of chemical, explaining its incredible properties. This crystal can produce both fire and electricity, making it a powerful and potentially dangerous substance. Miles reveals that he possesses many of these chemical crystals and plans to announce it to world leaders, claiming his company discovered it using salt water. He believes that once the chemical becomes known, its demand will soar, bringing immense profit to his company. The crystal's ability to generate electricity could revolutionize the industry, powering various electrical devices. However, one of Miles's friends, a scientist who works for his company, interrupts. He warns that their research on the chemical is incomplete and that using it could be risky. Miles dismisses the caution, insisting that the island is already utilizing the chemical and nothing bad has happened. Later, as everyone gathers around the dining table, Miles reminds them of the murder mystery game he mentioned earlier. The premise is that he will be murdered, and one of them will be the murderer, whom the others must identify. However, the detective immediately points to the fashion designer, saying she will be the murderer. Miles, clearly displeased, pulls the detective aside. He demands to know why the detective ruined the game by revealing the supposed murderer before it even started. The detective's premature accusation threatens to spoil Miles's carefully planned evening. The detective responds, "I just said that to make a point. Everyone here has a reason to harm you, and your life might actually be in danger." Miles, surprised, questions this, stating that these are his friends and colleagues who work for his company. "Why would they want to harm me?" he asks. The detective explains Your scientist isn't happy with you because you're pushing forward with that chemical project against his advice. Your politician friend is under threat from you. If she doesn't pass the project, you'll back her opponent in the next election. Your fashion designer friend is frustrated because you're forcing her to make her friend lie to the media. The YouTuber found out about your relationship with his fiancée, and as for Andy, she has been your enemy ever since you fired her. Each of them has a motive. Miles, feeling cornered, tries to deflect by showing the detective a picture of his friends with a handkerchief underneath it. He points to a sketch on the handkerchief and says, "I came up with the idea for my company in a bar called Glass Onion. I even named this island after it. I wrote my plans on this handkerchief and have kept it safe all these years." Meanwhile, Andy gets into an argument with the YouTuber and leaves the room in frustration. Shortly after, Miles and the detective enter the scene just as the YouTuber's phone starts ringing with notifications from Google. Surprised by what he sees, the YouTuber starts laughing and shows the notifications to Miles. Miles, astonished and concerned by the messages, quickly hugs the YouTuber and whispers for him to keep quiet. He then publicly announces that he is promoting the YouTuber to a senior position in his company, in an apparent attempt to buy his silence. Miles offers the YouTuber a senior position in his company, promising substantial earnings, which makes the YouTuber very happy. But why did Miles make this sudden offer? What were those notifications that made him so scared? We'll find out later. The YouTuber, feeling elated, accepts a drink offered by Miles. However, shortly after drinking the juice, he starts having trouble breathing and dies on the spot. Everyone is horrified by his sudden death and immediately suspects Andy, who had disappeared before the party. Miles examines the glass the YouTuber drank from and sees his own name written on it. It seems the poison was meant for him. Adding to the chaos, the YouTuber's gun and phone mysteriously disappear, and suddenly the island's lights go out, plunging everyone into panic. People start running around in fear. In the midst of the chaos, the detective finds Andy and informs her about the YouTuber's death. She is shocked and worried. But before they can act, someone shoots Andy, killing her instantly. The scene shifts to a week before, when Andy's twin sister visited the detective. This twist reveals that Andy actually died a week ago under suspicious circumstances, officially ruled as suicide. The twin sister, however, read Andy's diary and found no signs of distress, only happiness. She tells the detective there was no reason for Andy to kill herself. Everything seemed fine, which makes me suspect her friends. One of them killed Andy and staged it to look like a suicide. Andy's twin sister gives the detective a puzzle box and asks him to find the murderer because all of Andy's friends are going to Miles's island. She reveals that the idea to start the company originally came from Andy, not Miles. Andy had written her plan on a handkerchief, but 2 years later, a conflict arose over the chemical project. Andy opposed its use, leading to a fallout. Miles, with the help of his friends, lied in court, and the original handkerchief Andy had as proof mysteriously vanished. Miles then created a fake handkerchief, which led to Andy losing the court case. One day, Andy found the real handkerchief again and took a picture of it, placing it in an envelope. She shared this with all her friends except Miles to prove that it was her idea. The next day, Andy was found dead, and the real handkerchief disappeared. The detective realizes that one of Andy's friends is her murderer. He tells Andy's sister, "I will find the killer, but you need to come with me to Miles's island, posing as Andy. You can spy on everyone and feed me information." Andy's sister agrees, and together they go to the island, where she pretends to be Andy. While spying, Andy's sister overhears a conversation between the scientist and the politician. The scientist reveals that using the chemical emits poisonous gas harmful to humans. The politician admits she was initially against passing the project, but felt pressured by Miles, fearing he would replace her if she didn't comply. Andy's sister discovers, through eavesdropping on the fashion designer, that Miles had bribed her to falsely claim the company idea was his, not Andy's. She also learns that the YouTuber had intentionally encouraged his friend to get involved with Miles, hoping it would secure him a senior position at the company. This means everyone had their own reasons for supporting Miles. As Andy's sister prepares to report these findings to the detective, she is intercepted by the YouTuber and the politician. The politician, thinking she is Andy, says, "Why are you angry with us? The scientist and I came to your house after you sent the picture of the envelope." The YouTuber was already there, knocking on the door, but no one answered. When we left, the fashion designer came by, but still, no one opened the door. Realizing her cover might be blown, Andy's sister relays this information to the detective. She explains that when Andy sent the picture to prove herself, her friends did try to visit her, but no one answered the door. This revelation shifts the detective's suspicion away from the friends. After the argument at the party, Andy's sister had searched everyone's rooms for the envelope containing the real handkerchief, but couldn't find it. In the present, someone shoots at Andy's sister. However, she survives because the bullet gets lodged in Andy's diary, which she always carries with her. Andy's sister, pretending to be dead as instructed by the detective, goes to Miles's room and finds the envelope containing the real handkerchief hidden behind a picture. This discovery confirms that Miles was responsible for Andy's death. Confronted by the detective, Miles is accused of intentionally poisoning the YouTuber with pineapple juice, knowing he had a pineapple allergy. Meanwhile, Andy's sister arrives with the real handkerchief and reveals that the scientist received Andy's email about the company idea, leading Miles to visit Andy's house in a rage. He murdered her and stole the handkerchief before fleeing. The detective explains that the YouTuber, upon receiving Google notifications about Andy's death, had suspected Miles after witnessing him leaving Andy's house. He then began blackmailing Miles, demanding a senior position in the company in exchange for his silence. Andy's sister presents the real handkerchief, which bears the logo of the Glass Onion bar, proving Miles's guilt. She reveals her identity as Andy's twin sister and explains that the bar closed down 9 years ago, casting doubt on Miles's claim about the handkerchief's origin. As Miles confidently burns the alleged real handkerchief, claiming Andy's sister has no evidence against him, she remains crestfallen. But the detective proposes a plan to expose Miles's true nature, destroy everything he holds dear. Andy's sister, with a small piece of the chemical given by Miles, begins smashing Miles's prized possessions. However, Miles remains unfazed until she reveals the chemical, sending panic through the group. In a desperate attempt to dispose of the dangerous piece, Andy's sister throws it into the fire, causing a massive explosion that engulfs the entire area. The detective watches from a safe distance as Miles's world crumbles before him. Emerging from the chaos, Andy's sister confronts Miles, declaring his defeat. Seeing their friend's downfall, the others agree to testify against Miles for the murders of Andy and the YouTuber.